Hello, career thought leaders. It's good to see you today. And we are going to be talking about the jobs of the future and how we help our clients have durable careers. Now, what does this mean? Well, what we see is the World Economic Forum data saying that 12 million people will need to reskill because their careers are changing, their jobs are changing, whether that's AI, automation, economics. There's so many different factors into why jobs are changing, but the data is really clear. 44% of core skills will be disrupted. And again, 12 million people looking for work. And we already know that 40% of recent graduates are underemployed. How do we help connect the dots between what people might be doing now and what these jobs, or perhaps more accurately, tasks of the future will look like? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. So our clients are stuck. Maybe they're hanging on tight where they are, but they know that what's coming is change. And how are they going to deal with that? How will they manage it? And what will they do with their career? So say hello, drop a note in the chat if you're seeing this with your clients, people who are nervous about what the future will bring, people who are trying to figure out what will tomorrow look like. Maybe they're employed, maybe they're unemployed, but they know that things are shifting. How can we help these people? Well, today we're going to talk about a little 3D process that helps us do this. And I have been calling this, and Alexandra Levitt has been using this term as well, the durable career. So we talk a lot about stability, but stability in a career doesn't really exist anymore, right? We've seen tech people getting laid off who never thought they would, higher education colleagues getting laid off that never thought they would. The true stability is in building these skill sets and the pathway that we need to have a durable career. And the challenge is, of course, that it's shifting. However, there are some things we can look at, that there are competencies, there are skill sets that we can build to make this happen. So let's pull up a career durability model that I created a few years ago. As I said, Alexandra Levitt, who is futurist, she spoke at our career jam. She's amazing. She has a different model for this. I kind of have been using this model in terms of stability, agility, durability for a while because it captures a broad scope of the skills that our clients need to have to be employable long-term. That's what we're talking about, right? How will you be employable in the future of work, whatever that looks like? And how do we help you build the skills to do that? That's what we're trying to do. And it's not just about soft skills. I know we talk a lot about soft skills, and I don't think they're soft skills, right? I like to call them employability skills, but it's really specific things. So let's dig into this a little bit. Cultural intelligence. This is about being able to work with people from all over the globe, because the demographics, regardless of what's going on politically, the demographics of our workforce shift are inevitable. There are fewer people working in North America, in Europe. There are more people working in the Philippines, in Africa, young people, right? The demographics are undeniable, that our clients are young people, but even those of us who may be kind of mid-career, we will be working with people from all across the globe. And someone asked me in a recent comment on LinkedIn, is this outsourcing? Well, it's not really outsourcing, because what we're talking about is a shift in where people work from and where they are from. Maybe even they work somewhere else, but they're from what we might call the global south, because that's where the population is growing. So right now, maybe the ethnocentric view of that is that it's America outsourcing, but that is not going to be what we look at in even just 10 years from now. It's going to be globally vibrant companies who have people from all over the globe working from them, and those people will be located all over the globe because of this demographic shift. And so that requires us to have a cultural intelligence. And of course, it's not just cross-country cultures. We've got different types of cross-cultural competence we'll need to have as we work with people from all the different ways that you might think of diversity. So then we get into this idea of personal branding. And of course, we teach personal branding. So I loved when this came up in some Dell research from 2018, talking about how careers were going to shift. And the only way that we can be ready for that shift is to be really clear in who we are and the skills that we offer, and able to understand what a market needs and connect into it. Now, you might not think of that as personal branding, but that's what we have been teaching in terms of personal branding for at least the last 2 decades, thinking about how you know thyself, know your market, and make the connection. That is a powerful brand. It's attractive, it connects, and it brings opportunities to a person regardless of the shift when they can connect who they are and the skills that they bring to what the market needs. Digital literacy, right? This was in the model way before ChatGPT hit the scene, because we know that having the applied technical skills, that's what Alexandra's model calls it, having those technical skills that you need to do any job has been growing and growing for decades. I remember working for a small nonprofit who was helping people reskill at that time. It was way back in like 2012, 2013. And even then, we were teaching digital skills, technology skills to people so that they could get a new job. And that's not going to change. That's always going to be the case, because we're always chasing the next technology release, the next thing that we all need to learn. And somehow for us and for our clients to reframe that and not be overwhelmed and drugged down and feel like we're never going to keep up. Nobody's keeping up. It's simply, how do we use the technology we need to use to get the results we want to get the value we want to get, to serve the people we want to serve. We don't get caught up in shiny object syndrome, but we really think about literacy is, do I know the tools and skills to get what I need done? That's what we're looking at with digital literacy. Then this enterprising attitude. So enterprising attitude isn't that everyone needs to be an entrepreneur, but that we need to be able to connect to the market in an enterprising way. I'm not just a person going to a job expecting someone to take care of me. I'm coming out, I'm thinking forward, I'm taking care of myself, I'm managing my own learning. Yes, it's great when a company pays for that and I can negotiate for that. That's an enterprising skill, so that I'm on top of things and I'm moving in an independent way from expecting someone else to do it for me. How can I do that even if I'm working jobs and being an employee? It's a mindset that I'm shifting to think differently about it. Emotional intelligence, of course, those communication skills. When we think about emotional intelligence, right, there's 4 aspects to that. Can I manage my own stuff, emotions, communication? Can I recognize an other person's communication, emotions, etc.? Can I manage my own stuff? And then can I manage the relationship? So emotional intelligence covers a lot of things: communication, relationship building, networking, all of the human aspects of our work. And of course, the emotional intelligence that it takes to do my work. Whether I'm an engineer or I'm in sales, those jobs all are going to require more communication skills, more emotional intelligence than ever before. And of course, the relevant hard skills. And what I'd recognize is that this is 1 out of 6 parts. However, when you're thinking about communicating your value to an employer or a contract that you're trying to get or whatever, these relevant hard skills are really the cake, and a lot of the rest of it is the frosting. So we have to have those relevant hard skills. We have to be anticipating what those might be, and maybe the technical skills, the digital literacy kind of goes along with that. We have to anticipate what those are going to be and build those skills, so that then we're seen as credible and qualified to do the next job. And then we're beating out the rest of the competition. We're the one that stands out because of our other skills in the other 4 areas as well. So when we look at the job market, these are the challenges that most people have a hard time figuring out. What are the hard skills that are growing right now? What is in demand right now? And I remember when I first started this work, I thought, the demand doesn't necessarily mean you'll get a job in that. Just because something's growing doesn't mean you'll get a job. Just because something's not growing doesn't mean you won't get a job. However, they are good barometers to look at as we figure out which industries might I want to plug into, because we're not talking about trying to make everybody have a complete career change. Remember, that takes long time. It requires education. It requires something to make that transition. What we're looking at is industries, and how could I plug my skill set, especially my hard skill set, into that industry and add value pretty quickly, because that's how I'm going to get hired. So when I look at the industry growth, the industry reports, and our newsletters coming out tomorrow morning with some of this kind of aggregate data from the labor reports that have been coming out recently, trying to look at what are some of those growing industries. But it's regional, especially across the US. But of course, as you look across the globe, there are different regions where different industries are doing well. And that's something we can help our clients search through. I'm not going to go into it too much today because we went through that a lot in the last few weeks using AI to do that labor market research. But that is the first D in our 3D durable career, is demand. What is going on in the role and in the industry that we are trying to go into? And a lot of that, again, is going to be tied to a location. That's kind of the three-legged stool: role, industry, location. When we do that research, then we can see, okay, what industries are growing in a certain area. And especially the deep research tools, Perplexity, Gemini, they do a great job of getting all of those reports. What's going on at the local economic development office? Where are they giving money? What types of companies are they bringing in? So that we can forecast a little bit, where is that growth going to happen? Sometimes it may mean a career change, going back, doing some things to get new skills and try a new role. But what we're really looking for first, especially in this market, if someone is unemployed or thinks they may be soon, we're thinking about how could they plug their existing skills in, so a very similar role to what they've been doing, into some of these new industries that are growing. And if we look at it that way, we can plug into those demands and the growth in a way that helps our client today, not necessarily 2 years from now, although they might want to start working for that now too. So that's the demand piece. And it's not necessarily what jobs are in demand or what new jobs are coming out, new titles, et cetera, because everything is evolving. It's not like it's a brand new title. It's evolving and it's changing industries and maybe changing the way that it's done. So we're looking at the skills that these new jobs requires. We're looking at the industries that are growing, and we're trying to connect as much as possible the skills I already have and can prove and have data around that connect to the industry and the demand and the skills that they're looking for. That's best case scenario. Or as little of change as possible, again, especially in the tight market. It's interesting. I was just, again, reading some of that data. So it's not necessarily that there's a lot less openings. I mean, there are fewer openings, there are more layoffs that's happening, but it's just this like molasses pace of hiring that's happening right now that's causing some of this backup in the labor market. Companies are hesitant to hire. They're also hesitant to lay off. So if you've already got a job, they're probably not going to lay you off right now. Which kind of isn't this, we're seeing big layoff numbers, but that the market would say that people are actually slower to lay off right now. They're just slower to do anything right now because they're wait and see, especially small to mid-sized businesses. A whole new mind. Yes. Ooh, yeah. So thinking about how we process information, how we get into companies, how we connect with the things that we could do in a little bit different way. But not, again, it's not about making a huge change because that can feel overwhelming to someone. It also puts them in the long-term unemployed more, like they're going to be taking longer to find something, the bigger transition that they make. And that's what I love about especially some of the tools we've been looking at the last few weeks, is they can help you connect that demand to your existing skills so that you're not trying to make a huge transition for the most part. The next piece is disruption. So looking at what's going on in this market, that's causing change? What are the new skills they're asking for? And what can I see that's on the horizon? Now, this is a skill set that most people have not flexed in a while, right? They haven't thought about this in a while. I was just listening to somebody that was talking about they're telling their kid, get your job and work hard and you'll get noticed. Well, I don't know that that's a great message to put out there, because the truth is things are moving so fast and people are struggling to keep up, that if you can be that person who doesn't just do a good job, but also says, hey, this is how we could use something new in our business today. This is how we could, go after this new trend. These are the things that I need to know. And so I'll just drop a little hint here. In both our certified career transition coach class, which starts on Thursday, certified career transition class, we're going to be talking about how to help people think about their skills in terms of what is going to be augmented by AI, what's going to be replaced by AI, and what's not going to be replaced. And how can I build on and emphasize and continue using the things that aren't going to be replaced? How can I use AI to replace the things that it can replace, so that I'm not seen as wasting time or being slow? Maybe I could even be a leader in that area in my business. It doesn't actually take much. Doesn't actually take much in most businesses today to be a leader in that area, because businesses don't know what they're doing, right? We're all just trying to figure it out. So almost no matter what level you're at, you could say, okay, these are the things that could be done, could be automated in my job. I'm going to spend a little bit of time figuring out how to do that, so that then I have more time to solve the bigger problems, participate in the disruption instead of being a casualty of it. And young people can do this, right? You can get in and you can do these things. People who are experienced, you can do this, because you actually have a leg up in this technology wave that maybe you haven't had before. Young people coming out of college don't know AI tools any better than you do. And you've got the experience to sit beside that tool and know, is it full of it, right? Is it actually sharing good information? How do you move that forward? How will it apply in the work and the business that you do? So participate in the disruption instead of being disrupted by it. And when you do that, it's not just about doing your job well today. It really isn't. It's about looking ahead, looking forward, and figuring out how could you be that person in your company that is participating in the disruption instead of sitting back and being disrupted by it. That's the goal. And almost no matter what industry you're in, remember the PwC study we talked about a few weeks ago, 100% of industries are adopting these new technologies. It's going to look different in any business. How can you be a part of that? And then you can analyze your existing job, find the tasks that you could use AI to help with, or automation. That's not all AI tools. And then what could you build on now that you've got that maybe a little bit of extra time? That flows right into the development piece of what skills do you really need to be developing to be on top of it, to be in the forefront of your career. And this is where that enterprising skill comes in that we were looking at in the durable skills, because it's not just about, thinking about the market need and the gap. It's also thinking about what that means for you and the skills you need to build and the way that you can build those. And I mean, I do tend to be a fairly independent person, so I get that not everyone's going to feel this way, but you can sit around and wait for a company to decide they're going to pay for your development, or you could go out and figure out how you can start learning what you need to learn in the white spaces of your job, in the white spaces of your life, so that you have those skills. There's a lot of free things out there. I would try those first, and then talking to people, doing the research, and really understanding which paid things are going to add benefit. Now, what you can try then is flexing that enterprising skill of negotiating and say, okay, I have learned these skills. I've applied them in this way. I've researched this program and can see that it would help me take these things to the next level, where I'd be able to even do this. when it's specific, when it's clear, when it has business value, you're much more likely to get your business to pay for it. And now it's your development. You can take that skill and it's portable, right? I always talk about portable skills instead of transferable skills because transferable just sounds like magic to me. Not a huge fan, right? You are building these portable skills that you can carry in your little, virtual briefcase and move from one job to the next. And you are in charge of that. And that's maybe a scary thing, but it's also a good thing because once you have them, they're yours and you can move them from place to place. And you're going to need to do that over and over and over and over again in your lifetime, even if you're 60. You're right. You're going to be working for a while in a good way. And you can have these skills that you take wherever you go and have them add value to you as well as to the companies that you work for. So that is our 3 Ds here. Demand, what's going on in the market, who needs these skills? And then the disruption, what skills are on the horizon, what needs are on the horizon, and then the development, how am I going to get those skills and experiences so that I can sit where I need to sit tomorrow. And I've got to be thinking ahead. Because if I'm not thinking ahead, I'm falling behind. And how can we reframe that as not being overwhelming or feeling exhausting, which sometimes it might be, and we just take a breath, but that it gives us autonomy. It gives us the ability to create that future of our work instead of waiting for someone else to determine whether we have a future of work. So we want to think about how we help clients do this. Instead of the vague anxiety, right, of AI is taking my job, now we can look at the specific tasks that AI might be replacing and the tasks it can't, and start building the skills we need to get that next job, to keep the job we have, or to get the one that we really want and move towards that in a little bit more of a pattern so that we get to where we want to go. And we've been talking about this, how do you help a client build that enterprising attitude? When have they used it before? Maybe they haven't thought about it like that, but it may not be new to them. Maybe even they used it at home with their family, thinking about, how can I meet the needs and fit the gap? I mean, there's a lot of different ways that idea, that mindset plays out that have nothing to do with entrepreneurship. How do we help them handle the fear and the mindset blocks that come when we start talking about career in a different way and thinking about being the disruptor instead of being disrupted? And how do we think about innovation in a different way? I think innovation is intimidating to people, but innovation doesn't mean you think of something no one's ever thought of. It seems that it simply means that you could apply new ideas to your existing problem to come up with somewhat new solutions, but it doesn't have to be mind-blowing. Right? I think with innovations, like, oh, it's scary, right? No, it's just you seeing something and figuring out, how could I use that here? And the application of it is really what matters to the business, to have value, and to moving things forward in your career because you're doing that. And that's just a different mindset around, disruption, innovation, some of those things than we might think of. So as I said, we do have our certified career transition course coming up on Thursday. And I'm excited about the group we have registered. Always an amazing conversation with coaches, all different backgrounds, and talking through some of the top topics in career transition. So we need uniquely human coaching skills to handle these problems. AI cannot solve it all for us either. We're going to help people assess where they're at, what their skills are, how they want to meet into the market, and then how do they start connecting the dots through research, through maybe contract gigs, all of those opportunities to learn about the new thing you might want to do and make that transition. Most of the time, it's not a how-to challenge. It's a mindset, and fears, doubts, all of those get in the people's way of transitioning. Of course, the skill sets and how those connect But again, I just find that's usually not the problem for people. It's that mindset of how do I figure out what I want to do with all of the barriers that I perceive and the barriers that may be real. So that's what we do in the class. Michelle Carroll teaches this class with me. We have a lot of fun. As you can see, we've been doing this for more than 10 years. So we've got a lot of people that have gone through the course and have helped shape where we're at today. If you have questions about that, let me know. We'd love to have you in the program. Again, this Thursday, or we offer it twice a year live, and you can always start the self-paced program at any time. So when you think about helping your clients with their durable career, it isn't just the skill set. It's not just the soft skills. It's not just the hard skills. It's the unique skill that we all probably continually work on of connecting our skill set to the market need, being able to anticipate where things are going a little bit, pay attention to what's going on in our target industries, and participate in this new wave of understanding what skills we can automate, what tasks we can offboard a little bit to these tools, and then what that means for us moving forward. What skills do we need to grow to be employable, to be part of the disruption that's happening in every career? So I love this topic, and thank you all for connecting. We will see you next Tuesday, another Trend Tuesday Live next Tuesday. Very, very fun. We'll be bringing in a few of the people that will be speaking at our 2026 symposium in San Diego, one of our favorite locations. That we will be April 19th through the 22nd. And next Tuesday, the 18th, is the last day for the 6-month payment plan for that. So we'll be introducing you to a few of our speakers. Have a great afternoon or evening or morning if you're joining us from Australia, and we will see you next Tuesday. Thanks, everyone.